update with me, Jamie Campbell, brought to you by Villarreal USA. We finally have some positivity to discuss. Villarreal beating Stade-Rennais in the Europa League on Thursday night. A much needed first win of the Europa League campaign after that defeat to Panathinaikos last time around, the first group stage game. And a positive as well, Panathinaikos drew surprisingly with Maccabi in their second game rather. So Villarreal now just 1 point behind the Greek side and ahead of Stade-Rennais on head-to-head so far at this early stage. But, I mean, a big win for Villarreal and for Pochetta as well, for confidence levels within the group. Alexander Sortloth scoring a brilliant long-range effort. It was a pretty dramatic game. In truth, Pepe Reina thought he'd have a penalty to save in the second half initially, and then the penalty was was ruled out because of VAR, and then a penalty again was awarded in the around the 90th minute in truth, but it took so long to review through VAR that it was deep in its stoppage time that Martin Terrier took the penalty, and Pepe Reina pulled off a brilliant save. Probably his best moment since returning to Villarreal. Obviously had some struggles last season. He's been the number 2 keeper this season, but is obviously playing in the Europa League, and a fine save from him, a dramatic moment, and in tears after the game was the veteran. A nice moment for him, and ultimately the reason he came back to Villarreal to finish his career, to have those sort of moments. So good for him, and good for Villarreal, who managed to hold on to that 1-0 lead. And pick up a really much needed win after such a disappointing start to the season. The biggest positive for me in this one was the signs that there was a real game plan in place for Villarreal. Unfortunately for Pochetta at this stage, it looked like in his early games that it's kind of been turn up and hope for the best from Villarreal in many games. Just no real sign of a game plan, of a way of playing, of any real in-depth research ahead of the game. This felt different from very early in the game. Stade-Rennais played with a real press that was kind of triggered on the front man. So when the front man went to press, everyone else went with him. And Villarreal, they seemed to know that was coming. They held the ball deep, put their foot on the ball, waited for that trigger man to come, made the pass wide, and then picked apart Stade-Rennais' press systematically, which was really nice to see that kind of game planning in action. Now, in the second half, it did kind of tear off a little bit. I mean, Stade-Rennais started to have much more possession. It was much less about combating that press and putting one of their own in place, really, Villarreal. But they struggled to do that. I had to defend really well in the second half between Gabi and Mandy, which was a positive in itself. Albiol came on late in the game. But Villarreal managed to withstand that pressure, albeit 2 occasions Alfonso Pedraza came off the bench, and he did let one man slip early on, and he got a real telling off from Pepe Reina for that. And then he let another man slip at the back post, and that ultimately created the penalty because he had to wrestle him down to prevent a back post finish. And he's bailed out by Pepe Reina, but those were the only real defensive slips. Both come from the same player, really. So Villarreal can take some comfort in the fact they were much more solid at the back and withstood a real good Stade-Rennais side. Listen, this Stade-Rennais side, they're unbeaten going into this game. I think 7 Liga games they're unbeaten in. One of the only teams in Liga to remain unbeaten. And obviously they won their first game Europa League as well. So a dangerous team. They caused teams real issues with that press system. Villarreal really withstood it, and it was nice to see kind of planning in place from Pochetta, which we hadn't seen so far. And I hope this is a sign that he's going to take more ownership over this team and play his own style and play his own way, because we haven't seen that. It's been trying to fit into what Villarreal already do. I think he said that himself, which was a little bit of a concern when he got appointed, but hopefully now he'll kind of have the confidence to go his own way, and Villarreal will take that in this stride. But let's see. But certainly a good sign for Villarreal ahead of this weekend's clash with Las Palmas. Again at home. Home games back-to-back for Villarreal. Las Palmas have picked up as many points as Villarreal. No, that's not saying a whole lot. Only 8 points the Yellow Submarine have got so far this season. Las Palmas as well, who beat Celta Vigo last time out. So they'll turn up with confidence, some wind in their sails. I'm sure it'll be a tricky game, especially for Villarreal, given they played on Thursday night, although there were some changes made. Gerard Moreno's been training ahead of this one. Whether he'll be ready to start, I doubt it. I think he'd probably be ready for a bench at the very most at this stage. But Alexander Sortloth perhaps being relied on again. We'd really like to see some Ben Brereton Diaz. Jose Luis Morales has been played recently, and he came off the bench as well ahead of Brereton Diaz on Thursday night. And struggling to see. I'm a big fan of Morales in general, but I'm struggling to see what he really offers to this Villarreal team. And that's been true since he's arrived. Really, he just hasn't shown the sort of form he had at Levante. He hasn't looked that dangerous, and defensively not great as well when he's playing in the wide position. So I'd like to see some more of Braden Diaz and the physicality that he offers. I always thought that would add a lot to this Villarreal team. And I'm sure we will have changes in the middle as well. Manu Trigueros is unlikely to start 2 games back to back. Capu is struggling for form for me at the moment, really losing the ball in silly situations. We saw more of that on Thursday night as well, which was a little bit concerning. I don't know whether it's a confidence issue or whether it's almost he's been kept a year too late. Again, a big fan of Cafu and what he's offered over recent years, but Villarreal, I think, will try to get Santi Comisania to a position where he's comfortable enough in this system, whatever system that may be, to replace Capu in the long run. I think that was always the plan. I hope we do see more of that over the coming weeks, although we also haven't seen the best of Comisania up to this point. So let's see. But this is a game Villarreal really need to win. They got to take care of these games that they should win, especially at home if they're going to have some European ambitions. And it'd be nice to see them take the confidence they built from Thursday night into this game and avoid another setback and going into those kind of feelings of things going wrong and feelings of concern. It'd be nice to really start to build some confidence from here. And going into the international break as well would be a really important part of Villarreal's season, I feel, especially when Pacheta really needs that international break to work with some of these players to get his ideas across, because he's coming at a busy period of the season, difficult to install his ideas. I know some players will be away on international duty, but the majority will be there, and a good chance for Pacheta to get his kind of ideas and philosophy across to this team, and hopefully they can take care of business against Las Palmas this weekend. And hopefully we do see some more of Bren Brereton Diaz and the other players we'd like to see more of, because we are seeing a lot of the veterans playing, a lot of frustration from fans, I feel, with some of those players struggling for form. But Danny Parejo did look better on Thursday night after a difficult start of the season. Trigueros as well, to be fair to him, put in a real shift in the middle of the park. And let's see where we go from here. And hopefully Sunday, of course, after that Thursday game, will be kinder to Villarreal and they can take care of business as they've failed to do up till now. But let's see. It's in Pacheta and Villarreal's hands. So stay tuned for all the build-up to the clash with Las Palmas on Villarreal USA. And don't forget to check out the website for more in-depth coverage of the Yellow Submarine in English, both before this game and after heading into the international break.